First book of Timothy, chapter 1, from verse 18 says like this. This charge I commit to you, son Timothy, according to the prophecies previously made concerning you, that by them you may wage the good warfare. Listen to this here now. Paul is calling here Timothy his son. And then he says, according to the prophecies previously made concerning you. Look at me here now. When Paul says prophecies made concerning you, the Bible is talking about the expectations Paul in the church had for Timothy. When the Bible here is saying prophecies, it's talking about the determinations Paul had made of Timothy, who was a young disciple, grew up learning about the faith in Jesus. So there were expectations for him to continue what Paul had begun. So Paul had determined to the point of calling Timothy a son. So Paul had the expectations that Timothy would carry out his legacy. He had the determination within himself that Timothy would carry out what he had begun. So he says prophecies concerning him, the expectation and the determinations they had towards Timothy. Now the same thing God has. When we turn ourselves to him, when you come to church, God also has expectations and determinations. The expectations God has of me, of you, the expectation he has, one of them, he expects you to be saved. He expects you to be saved. He expects you to be obedient to his word. God expects you to forgive those who sin against you, so he can forgive your own sins. Expectations. God expects us to love him above everything. He expects us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So God has expectations, but also God has determinations, things he determines for your future. Do you see people being healed, people being set free? We see families changing. We see people's finances changing because of God's determination, the determinations written in the Bible. Now for you to see, for you to fulfill God's expectations, and to see his determinations fulfilled in your life, you have to follow what he says. Paul, he expected and he determined good things to the future, or for the future of Timothy. But for Timothy to see the expectations Paul and the church had towards him, and the determinations God had done for him, he had to walk in a certain path. He had to walk in a certain path. He could not deviate from that to the right or to the left. He had to walk the walk. So for God's expectations and determinations he has for you to be fulfilled, you have to walk in his ways. You have to walk in obedience. You have to walk in faith. So you can see his determinations and expectations fulfilled in your life. Then it continues like this. Verse 19. Having faith and a good conscience, which some have rejected, concerning the faith, have suffered what? Shipwreck, of whom are Hymenaeus and Alexander, whom I delivered to Satan, that they may learn not to blaspheme. Now look at me here, please. The Bible says, keep that verse, verse 19 on the screen, please. Verse 19 on the screen. Look what God said there. Having faith and what? A good conscience. Faith and a good conscience. Faith and good conscience, they work side by side. Your faith depends on your good conscience. Without a good conscience, you do not have a proactive and profitable faith. Without a good conscience. The Bible says God created Adam and Eve. And God said to man, and God said to the woman, for them not to eat from the fruit which was in the middle of the garden. They should not touch. Listen to this. They should not touch. For as long as they had not touched, their conscience was what? Clear. Their conscience was clear. And because their conscience was clear, God was coming every afternoon to spend time with them. Every afternoon. And they would spend time with God. Do you want God to spend time with you? Yes. Listen to what I'm saying. Not you spending time with God. I'm talking about God spending time with you. Would you like God to spend time with you? Yes? You'd like God to spend time with you. You'd like God to come down and spend time with you. You'd like that. Can only happen if your conscience is what? Clear. If your conscience is not clear, God will not come and spend time with you. He would do every afternoon. He would come down to the garden and spend time with Adam and time with Eve. Every afternoon. Now note, as soon as Adam and Eve, they took the fruit and they ate, what was their first action when God came down? They hid. The first thing they did was to hide. And then God said, where are you? They said, we were hiding, or we are hiding, because we are naked. Then God said, but who told you you are naked? Who told you you are naked? Have you eaten from the fruit I told you not to touch? But that's what happens. When people's conscience is not clear, when people's conscience is not clear, they will always hide from whom? God. They will not have communion with God. They will not, just like Adam and Eve behaved. They behave as well. They hide. They don't want to know. They can't pray anymore. They are no longer close to God because they don't have a clear conscience. Many people don't even have the strength to pray. There are people who were prayer warriors before. They would pray morning, evening, afternoon, every single day. They would be able to talk to God with all their strength from the deep of their lungs, talk to God, and they had the assurance their prayer was not only heard, but was also answered. It was inside of them. They knew God was with them. Until the day they fell into sin, until the day he committed adultery, until the day she committed adultery, until the day he was unfaithful, until the day he touched in what was God's, until the day he did what he was not meant to do, until the day she did what she was not meant to do. And because of this unclear conscience, that person who one day was a fervent prayer warrior cannot even talk to whom? God. Cannot even talk to God.